scores from the Republican debate right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Who is going to resonate the most with Republican voters? Well, here was some intel on that. We have acclaimed pollster Frank Luntz. Frank, welcome. Good to have you here on the show. How important overall are these debates right now to the process?
Well, they matter considerably. More people are getting their information from the debates than they are from television, newspapers, online, more than anything combined. 24 million people watch the Fox News debate, 23 million people CNN, 14 million people watch CNBC. These are record audiences for all three cable networks. You're going to have a record audience tomorrow night as well. And people are paying attention to them. They're listening to the details. And here's what's interesting. It's not that they're sampling it for 15 or 30 minutes. They're watching the entire debate from beginning to end, and that's how they're making up their minds.
Frank, I love it. I think that it's wonderful. It's part of our democratic process, and it's great to see that kind of engagement. It's great to see this many candidates in the field. But when we look forward to the economy and the issues that are going to be talked about there on stage tomorrow night, how hungry are people for details? I mean, the economy can be somewhat complicated. I get that. But I do think that these candidates owe it to voters to explain step by step exactly how they're going to change things.
Yeah, but how are you going to do that when you only allow them 90 seconds to respond? If you want me to give you an answer about what I'm going to do for the economy, you're going to have to allow them 3 or 4 minutes. So let's be fair. The problem with the CNBC debate is that the questions were often longer than what they allowed the answers to be. And in terms of issues, the one thing that they did not talk about in the past...
Frank, hold that thought. Do not go anywhere. I want to continue this conversation. Yes, our debate will be very different. I'm back with Frank Luntz right after this. And I am here with acclaimed pollster Frank Luntz. Frank, I think obviously about the substance of tomorrow night and the real economic and jobs and taxes questions very much being on the table. Let me ask you about something that's just a detail that we have put in place to offer the candidates more time to put forward some real answers, and that's that they will have 90 seconds, which, believe it or not, is an eternity in TV time, 90 seconds to answer a question. They'll have 60 seconds for a follow. How will that change what we hear, in your view?
Well, that's great news for Jeb Bush, because he's got an incredible record that nobody gets to hear, because when you have 60 seconds, it's all about a soundbite to begin your answer and a soundbite to end your answer and maybe one nugget of substance. The longer that the questions are, the better that it helps a Bush or a John Kasich, and the more difficult it becomes for the candidates who don't know the specifics, because then you've got to get to some of the details that these other candidates don't have.
See, I wonder, you talk about Donald Trump, for example, and you say that he's better in this soundbite environment, and yet, Frank, this is a guy who has built a heck of a business. This is a guy who really understands market issues. I don't know if we get a lot of that from him, and I wonder sometimes, is it a deliberate choice? Is he oversimplifying things? Because he knows this stuff.
I don't necessarily believe he's oversimplifying it. He's just not experienced. When you're doing business, he knows more about business. And by the way, he's the #1 candidate by far when you ask the American people who can best handle the economy. But when you ask them who knows the details, he slips down to 7th or 8th. So Trump is at his best when he gets to do the substance for this debate that you're going to host tomorrow. He's at his weakest if it's a discussion of issues like welfare or crime or drug abuse, foreign policy. Those aren't Trump's strengths.
Those are more challenging. We were just showing a graphic there. It says 42% of American or Republican voters think that Donald Trump is the guy on economic issues. Part of this is coming forward with a plan that Americans believe the candidates understand and can put forward. And part of it is a certain salesmanship as well, because I think ultimately, Frank, and you're out there talking to these Republican voters and you're polling them, they want to know that whoever they put in that position, one, can win, can beat Hillary Clinton if she's the nominee on the other side, and can get stuff done. It's one thing to talk about all this. It's another thing to really actually see it happen.
Which is why they're looking for 2 things. They're looking for solutions. So they want to know the 2 or 3 things you're going to do in each issue. And it needs to be 2 or 3, because 1 is just random. 2 is a trend. Give them 3 solutions for a problem, and that's the proof that you can get it done. And then they're looking for real results. They want to see what you've done in your past, in your career, that demonstrates that you can actually, as you say, get it done. You have to have both.
Mr. Luntz, thank you so much. Appreciate all the intel.